Welcome to the Natural Hair Education Podcast, where we empower, educate, and embrace our essence through the love of natural hair. I am your host, Corinthian Carruthers II, and thank you for listening. I am a licensed beauty educator, licensed cosmetologist, and natural hair culturist. I am co-owner of Creative Hair School of Cosmetology and the creator of Natural Hair Education, a platform that's designed and dedicated to teaching beauty school students, professional stylists, and natural hair enthusiasts texture hairstyling and natural hair education. On this platform, we will discuss real hair stories, break myths, and grow in self-love. This episode is brought to you by Natural Hair Education's Texture on Texture styling course. This styling course is a virtual educational experience. Learn how to properly detangle hair, learn how to do coils, flat twists, two-strand twists, and an updo style, all on naturally textured hair. In this program, you will receive Ada, which is Natural Hair Education's first texture hair mannequin. And listen, y'all, she is the real deal, okay? So once you get your hands on her, you'll be able to learn the different types of skills and techniques, as well as improve your current skills, increase your service time, along with your confidence, and overall increase your income. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Natural Hair Education Podcast. On today, I have a special guest. I have Nicole Richardson with us today. Nicole is a nurturing wife, mother, writer, and entrepreneur with a Bachelor's of Arts degree in advertising, PR, and a Master's of Arts degree in Arts Administration. She was born and raised in Flint, Michigan, and has lived all over the United States, North, West, East, and South. Nicole is passionate about living out her purpose here on earth, being one with Christ, and being who the Most High God created her to be. I want to share that Nicole has two sisters that I'm familiar with, Michelle and Angela. We went to elementary school together. And I remember going into a African-American owned beauty store when I was little with my mom, and I would see Angela and Michelle there working in the store. I want to talk to her about their beauty store, but today the conversation is going to be about the Museum of Modern Black Beauty, as well as the Inner Beauty Summit that is coming up February 17th. Now, I hope you guys stick around, listen to the episode, check out the show notes. And here's Nicole. Hi, Nicole. Welcome to the Natural Hair Education Podcast. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for being here. And to the audience, I want you to know that Nicole's family and I, we have history.
Yes.
Grew up in the same community, even though she isn't here in the city anymore. She still has a lot of connections here, her family. And so we'll speak a little bit more about that. But I want to have you on today because you are the creator of the Modern Museum of Black Beauty.
The Museum of Modern Black
The
Beauty.
Museum of Modern Black Beauty. Okay. Yes. Thank you for that correction. Can you tell me a little bit more about the focus point of it and what inspired you to create it?
Yes. So the MOM, or the Museum of Modern Black Beauty, the focus is on redefining things like beauty into health for primarily the Black community or Black Indigenous people of color. And that includes men and women, children and teens as well. And what inspired it is my dad and I had started on this venture of selling hair products together for the first time. Like him and my mom always were selling products for the longest, as you know, in the Flint community. But he had this vision of this company called Mika. And so we started Mika together. And the focus was on selling natural hair products to the Black community because a lot of hair products have, or even skincare or whatever, that are targeted to Black people have a lot of chemicals and things like that. that can get inside of our bodies and then, have bad results. So our hair may be looking good, but, with those chemicals inside of our bodies, not so good. So, anywho, we were selling those online, and I was going through, this was like back in 2019, 2020, so a little bit into the pandemic. And so with all that extra time at home, I I was starting to go through like my own internal healing journey in terms of my own perceptions of beauty, what that was. And I realized that while everyone is beautiful because we're made in the image and likeness of God, um, I would only feel beautiful whenever I had makeup on or whenever I had my hair done. If I didn't, I felt like I was a hot mess. And so I started realizing, like, wait a minute, why is my value or my sense of beauty contingent upon products? And is me selling these like perpetuating that? And so I knew I wanted to go deeper and I wanted to, I started pivoting the messaging around like self-care, inner healing, and things like that. Started a blog, and that was cool. It was great. However, I wanted to go even deeper than that. And so that's when the museum was, the idea for it was kind of birthed into creating spaces
Yeah.
and exhibitions and workshops and events and things like that that will help people see like the different issues. I started realizing that um, whenever I would go into like a beauty supply store, just how willing we are as a people to drop tons of money into a
Yes.
look or a style or whatever, whatever we have in our minds that will make us just the best version of ourselves. However, like even in my own life, I realized even when I looked my absolute best, if I had an attitude and I was like talking crazy to my husband, like he didn't care how I looked. It was more about like my inner health um and how that affects my relationships, how that affects even just everything, my parenting, it affects my friendships, it affects just so much work.
It does.
And yeah, and yeah, I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, no, you're so right. There's so many things that you just elaborated on that we can go deep into. One of the things that you brought up that really resonates with me is the products and the amount of chemicals that are in those products that are
Hmm.
catered to African American
Yeah.
people. And I've recently, within this last year, has been on the journey of really doing a lot of research on what I'm using. So
Hmm.
that's one thing. The other thing is a few years back, you know how you have a sense of like you want to grow, like I want to grow, I want to be better, I want more for myself.
Yeah.
I know that there's something out there for me, and so I a lot of self care, but I enrolled in therapy, and I was able to really go deep down on the inside and learn how to heal and just even changing perspectives and things of that sort. But that inner beauty, that inner health is way deep. And
Yeah.
like, we can elaborate on this a lot. But for example, you can see a woman and she's so pretty when she's walking in, right? But
Hmm.
then she says something and she has attitude, and that beauty is instantly gone. And so
Yes.
it's a lot of inner work, internal work that we, as the African American uh, a community as a whole, I feel needs to focus on.
Yeah.
so that we can heal together and grow our communities together.
Right, right.
Another thing that I do want to talk about is you are having the Inner Beauty Summit, which is Monday, February 17th.
Yes.
And we just talked about a little bit of inner beauty and your whole focus on starting the Museum of Modern Black Women,
Mm-hmm.
Black Beauty. So, can you tell us? I can tell that you're very passionate about doing the work and people doing the work. Can you just let us know what was your inspiration for the Inner Beauty Summit and what people can look forward to?
Sure, sure. So the inspiration just comes from the desire to help others learn about the importance of focusing on a personal development, focusing on inner healing and health, of course, and then also changing our value systems. And so oftentimes we don't really truly value things like, I mean, it's getting a lot better, I would say, in terms of like therapy. Like people are becoming more aware and in tune with their need for, learning how and why they do the things that they do. And so, but the Inner Beauty Summit is going to focus on more so like focusing on or changing the definition of what's considered to be beautiful, right? Because beauty is a given. Like I said before, just being a human being, we're beautiful, right? We're all beautiful. And so I think though in the Black community in particular, a value system for material things and external beauty has been put on a pedestal and has we've been told like, hey, if you try to attain this level of beauty on the outside, if you look good, you feel good, which there is some truth to that. But we're not just talking about looking good, we're talking about um, being whole on the inside, from the inside out. And so when you have healed like childhood traumas, when you have or dealt with it or are on the journey to just physical health, even, learning what the body needs to nourish itself on a regular basis, because that's also connected to beauty, right? So, yeah, so just focusing on like those things and creating a higher value for internal health versus external beauty or beautification efforts. So, yeah.
Yeah, that is really good. Now, I do want to ask you a question because I know that I am now in my 40s and I am realizing how
Great.
important, oh, thank you. I'm realizing how important internal health is,
Mm-hmm.
what we're eating, especially living in a Western civilization where the food is just horrible.
The
So,
sad standard American diet is very sad.
yes, absolutely. And so I know
Yeah.
I've been really trying to be intentional about that as well. Just what I'm putting in my body, on my skin. All those things play a part to that internal health. But do you find more people in like generally in whole that are more aware of the diet here or just how we're lacking as a community when it comes to our health? Or do you find that more people that are older are more now aware and in tune with their health, internal health?
Um, I think it's a process, but in terms of the masses, I of the Black community, I don't think that we're there yet. Like, um, so for example, I'll just use me for example, or my family and I. Back in 2023, we decided to go vegan or plant-based.
Mhm.
And that was a whole thing. But it was based off of a lot of research that I was doing as a result of an unfortunate cancer diagnosis in
Mhm.
the family. And so, my two things that I didn't realize I was addicted to that I could never have given up before then was chicken and cheese. Chicken and cheese. Those was my kryptonite. I'm like, I can give up anything else.
Yeah.
Those two things. It was wild. But when things happen, like I said, when health scares happen, like they snap you out of like, oh, I can't or I could never.
Yeah.
And so it sent me on a research trail, ended up doing it, taking the plunge. The hardest part wasn't even not eating chicken and cheese. The hardest part was switching over my children
Yeah.
because they had grown accustomed to the standard American diet
Yeah.
because
Yep.
it gets passed down, right?
Mhm.
Um, Food is very, very intimate. And so we end up passing down certain things. So, like, when certain health issues run in the family, it's like, oh, high blood pressure or this or that. It's not even necessarily those things as much as it's the diets that we're passing down.
Yes.
And so making that switch was, I'm not gonna lie, like it was difficult. But at the same time, it's just about what do I had to realize like what do I value?
Yeah.
And am I willing to be um, different
Yeah.
in terms of everything, when it comes to gatherings or social gatherings and things like that, or convenience? That is a whole nother thing. And so there's pros and cons to it. So social gatherings were difficult because you're like, oh, haha, you're the vegan.
Yeah.
We eat like just salad and greens.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know. I've been there.
And it's just a lack of awareness or even education about it, just because, like I said, we've been conditioned, especially when you think about the food industry and, again, chemicals that literally train your brain to eat
Yes.
certain things over and over again.
Addictions. Yes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Addictions and then conveniences that you realize like, oh snap, like I'm sacrificing my health for convenience
Yeah.
because I can't wait to get home, or I'm not preparing or planning for meals in advance. So the best thing I can do is, run to McDonald's or this fast food spot right here because it's available and I'm hungry and everybody has to eat. So, it's just those little things. So I think, and I will say too, based on my research, those fast food or the food industry does target low income communities on purpose for
Yeah.
that reason,
Yep.
because a lot of us are in survival or working night and day. And
Yeah.
so we don't always have the luxury to like plan things out or, grocery shop or things like that. And
Yeah.
so all I have to say, I think there's a small growing awareness amongst the Black community when it comes to food and health and things like that.
Mhm.
But I just hope it keeps growing. It's still pretty small. Um, I'm just thankful though that there are a lot of different alternatives and it is growing. It
Mhm.
does exist versus maybe like even 5 years ago
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
10 years ago. It was probably
Yep.
pretty small,
Yeah.
even smaller, you know. And we thankfully too have like a lot of food alternatives, cheese alternatives, and whatnot. So
Mhm.
it's good.
Yeah, well, big up to you all, and
Thank
congratulations
you.
on being a vegan. I know I tried vegetarian a while back, and that worked. It was cool, but like you said, those social gatherings and just being
Yes.
amongst people that are aware of what you're doing and the purpose of it, it's kind of it can be really difficult. And
Yeah.
for the families that are really busy and can't plan and prepare, it really takes a lot of work to be intentional, setting a
Yeah.
schedule, and trying your best to stick to that schedule. And sometimes just getting everybody in the family involved. And I think that really can help. We only have a few minutes left, but before
Okay.
I gotta have you back on because I do want to eventually talk about the beauty store that your family owned when you were here in the city. But
Yes.
before I let you go, I do want to talk about the black, brown, blues, and hues exhibit.
Oh,
I was
yes.
stalking your website. I told you I was on your website, and I saw that, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, that's gonna be amazing." Can you share what
Yes.
that's gonna be about?
Yes. Yes. So that is like my baby. That's gonna be our very first exhibit. It's called Black, Brown, Blues, and Hues. And it's going to examine and chronicle the negative effects of colorism in the United States.
Woo, that's gonna be
So,
good.
yeah, I'm so excited because um, just as a brown skinned girl myself, I'm sure you as well, we all have experienced, no matter what shade you are,
Mhm.
um, just the effects of this unofficial caste system, that this unspoken caste system that is existing in the United States. And oftentimes, from people who are outside of the community, we can be kind of looked at as like why can't you, get ahead? Like, what's the problem? And I think even we don't really realize the effects of seeing, you know, or not seeing ourselves in media represented appropriately, or
Yeah.
without certain tropes, right?
Hmm.
And so all of that affects your self perception, and it affects your ability to self actualize, which self actualization, which is knowing your true self, um, is at the top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And
Yep.
so we need to know and be our true selves, but we'll
Yeah.
have like all these things hindering us. And it's very subtle, it's very subconscious. And it's been programmed throughout our lives. And
Yes.
yeah, so, anyways,
Oh, girl, you got a lot of good stuff going on. I really am excited about that. When I saw that on your website, I said, I'm going to ask her about this because she didn't mention this to me, but I'm looking. So before I let you go, can you give the audience a tip? I mean, you gave a lot of for one, let me just say you're so I love your meekness and your
okay.
intelligence. I think it's that's a beauty in itself and you're very beautiful. So I do want to give you that compliment. But before we go, can you let the audience give them some type of tip or something to walk away with as well as let them know where they can find you?
Yes, yes. So, my tip would be to come to the Inner Beauty Summit. Yes. So, Corinthian, you will be the main speaker, and you will be leading this lovely workshop where about 15 people, we only have 15 spots available, but 15 probably ladies will come, and we'll learn about, redirecting those value systems from the external to the internal, and then we'll work through any blocks and work through how to do that, and how to, do things like personal development and grow and heal from the inside out. And yeah, it's going to be great. So
Yeah.
that's going to be on Monday, February 17th, like you said, from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Ferris Wheel Building, downtown Flint, Michigan. And yeah.
And where can they find you?
Oh, yes, you can find me on our website, which is themom.com, and it's spelled TheMommbb.com. And then I'm also on Facebook right now. I'm working on getting on Instagram, but for now, just Facebook.
Good. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. And congratulations on the work that you are doing. It's very well needed in our community. And I love that people are really starting to wake up.
Yeah.
And really, really paying attention to just not the external, but the internal health and what it takes to be healthy and whole.
Amen.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I'm excited to have you on because I do want to talk about that beauty store that you guys own and even your father. So I'll be in touch about that as well.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Well, take care. And thanks for having
you. No problem. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Peace.
And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Until next time, let's continue to educate, empower, and embrace our essence through the love of natural hair. Thank you for listening.